Good evening, Relayers. My name is Sarah Lynn Lash, and I'm your nationwide Relay for Life volunteer lead. Tonight, I'm joined by my Relay good friend and fellow nationwide volunteer, Jason Masony.
Hello.
Tonight, we're here to kick off our 2022 season and to look at our impact through the lens of celebrate, remember, and fight back.
Relay for Life is like a big celebration. We have survivors, we have caregivers, we honor those that have lost their battle with cancer. It's just a great way for the community to come together.
I am a 25-year breast cancer survivor.
I'm a 4-time cancer survivor. Relay for Life means I am in a cancer community where everyone is fighting for the same cause as myself.
Relay for Life is more than just walking a track. It's a community and it's support. It's support for everybody.
Relay for Life doesn't exist because of cancer. It exists because of communities coming together to fight it, to share moments of laughter, moments of silence, to provide a shoulder to cry on, or a hand to high five, to celebrate, to remember, to fight back, and to raise funds that help the American Cancer Society develop breakthrough research, provide free lodging to patients, give people free rides to treatment, and create a better world for future generations.
I would describe Relay for Life as, well, really life-affirming and a beacon of hope for people who are probably going through one of the darkest times in their lives. You're never alone, and there's always somebody there for you to talk to.
Oh, I've just got chills about the LUMINARIA. I'm getting emotional even just speaking about it. It's a great way to honor those people who you've lost, because it's so important that the people that you lose, that you always remember them.
I do Relay for Life because that is the way I join the fight against cancer. I do it in honor of friends and family that are currently fighting it, that have beat it, and have also lost their fight to cancer.
You beat it, Dad?
Join Relay for Life. Walk the track with us. Cheer for survivors with us. Remember those we've lost together. And fundraise to fight back.
This past year, we've tried to navigate the changes and the pivots that 20 and 21 have brought. And we've taken time to host many conversations with volunteers. And most of our content tonight is in response to what we learned from you. One of the topics we talked about was our brand and who we are and what Relay for Life is all about. And it became pretty apparent that celebrate, remember, and fight back are the themes Relayers hold closest to their hearts. Well, that and wearing purple, because we love our purple.
We sure do. And you're so right, Sarah Lynn. So much of what we do as Relayers fall into those themes. Another part of those conversations was giving feedback about the needs of you, our local volunteers, and what would bring value and make it easier to fundraise. So we're going to cover some of those topics as well. But first, to get us started, Sarah Lynn, why don't you give us a little bit of a year in review and let's celebrate what we accomplished this past year.
Let's talk about what you all did this past year, because 2021 was incredible. It was a mind-blowing year, even though it had tough challenges. Let's talk numbers. At this time last year, staff and volunteers at the American Cancer Society were having to make some really difficult decisions. And those decisions impacted 650 Relay for Life events. But as Relayers do, y'all rose above those challenging times, and your passion and your dedication remain steady. Relayers raised over $58 million in 2021. And because of the cost savings related to the changes in events, we were able to invest $15 million more into our mission than we did in 2020.
Wow.
And every single month since April of 2021, we exceeded the amount raised over 2020. Not only that, but when we asked for your help in raising $5 million last October to invest directly into precision medicine research, you all answered the call. You helped ACS raise over $7.5 million in 9 days. I mean, Relayers are making a difference. And let's talk about the relationships. In November, we hosted a Global Relay for Life festival for the first time ever. And we had over 1,800 attendees from around the world. We have new volunteer leadership with 7 regional Relay for Life leads representing each geographic area at ACS.
Wow. So much success in a tough 2020 and 2021, but let's turn the page and talk about something new. As I mentioned, we spent part of 20 and 21 talking to relayers. We listened, we learned, and we're adapting. One of the things we walked away with and are implementing for 2022 is 4 signature elements that will define an official Relay for Life event. And it starts off with the survivor celebration, usually in the form of a survivor lap. And this is the opportunity where we can stand around the track and we can cheer our survivors for their victory. Caregivers are important as well. And we want to make sure we have an opportunity to honor caregivers, both those who are current patients, survivors, or those who have lost their survivor. Many pay tribute to healthcare workers as well. This is typically done by inviting caregivers to join survivors in a lap. My favorite part of Relay for Life and something, very special is the Luminaria ceremony. Such a moving ceremony where we really take a moment to honor and remember those who are still with us and those that aren't. And lastly, opportunities for people to share how they will fight back in the coming year. So speaking of sharing, Sarah Lynn, we jumped right into some of this exciting stuff coming up, but why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your cancer journey?
I'm a survivor, and I'm always so thankful for relayers. I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer in 1994, and because of relayers, I am 27 years cancer-free and a 28-year survivor. The physical parts of cancer were hard, but for me, the mental and emotional were worse. I felt lost, like I wasn't sure what to do because I felt like part of the person I used to be. A big part of my healing came when I was invited to Relay for Life. And I moved from being a victim of cancer to being a survivor whose life is celebrated by an entire Relay for Life community. And I have so many Relay friends now who are truly like family. Somebody said you can treat life like nothing's a miracle, or you can treat life like everything's a miracle. And I choose everything. Let's enjoy and celebrate every part of life that we can. Because of you, I've had a whole second lifetime to make memories with my loved ones. Things I never had the chance to do before cancer, but things that have made my life full and joyful. Things like I've celebrated my family birthdays, including attending my grandma's 90th birthday party. I've gotten to travel like to Paris and London and the Grand Canyon, DC, Niagara Falls. There are just so many places to go. And, the best part of life is I'm an auntie. I have 2 nieces who I adore. And honestly, I got to hold the youngest one on the day she was born. Best feeling ever. I graduated from college and I've earned a master's degree. I stood with my best friend as the maid of honor at her wedding. I bought my first home. I got my first career job. I was here to celebrate my parents' 50th anniversary. The list could go on and on. There are so many things in life to celebrate. And honestly, that's why celebrating is such a bedrock of Relay for Life. But honestly, enough about me. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey with cancer?
Yeah, sure. And Sarah Lynn, thank you so much for sharing that story. You are truly an inspiration to me and help me keep fighting like I do every day. But my encounter with cancer was a little different than yours. See, I'm a caregiver, and my story started back in 2005 in Boardman, Ohio, when I stood in front of a gazebo, looking my then fiance Julie in the eyes, and saying, "I do." It was a magical day. 46 days later, we were no longer saying "I do." Instead, we were listening to "You have cancer." We were barely back from our honeymoon, and we were sitting in a doctor's office while my wife was being told that she had stage 4 colon cancer. I was stunned. I had to grow up really fast. I had to learn how to be a caregiver. For 3.5 years, Julie battled it like a champ. Multiple rounds of chemotherapy, several surgeries. But unfortunately, in 2008, she went into hospice care. While in hospice care, about a couple weeks before Julie passed away, we were sitting on the couch in our house and we were talking. And she asked me to make some promises to her. First and foremost, she asked me to make sure that her mom was taken care of, because Julie was an only child. She then asked me to promise to keep fighting on her behalf. And lastly, she asked me to tell people not to make the same mistake that she made. So what did she mean by that? When Julie was a teenager, she was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And when she went off to college, she decided that a college kid doesn't need to get colonoscopies. And the medication that she was on to help control some of the side effects weren't going to interact well with a college kid wanting to drink alcohol. So she decided to forego her preventive care, her medications, and ultimately developed cancer. Hearing you have cancer is tough. Hearing there's nothing more we can do is so hard to hear. I think the worst thing we heard was the surgeon after the first surgery that said, you know, if you got your preventive screenings, we wouldn't have even needed this surgery or the chemotherapy we're about to talk about. So I made it my life mission after that to make sure that I remind people about getting their preventive screenings. That second promise of continuing her fight, I was looking for something to do in a way to honor her. And a good friend of mine told me that I should join Relay for Life. And like many of you out there, my first reaction was, well, I don't run. And I was then told, look, it's not a race. And I was told what Relay for Life was. And I walked into my first team captain meeting, and I had other team captains coming up to me that wanted to hear my story. They wanted to hear Julie's story. My first relay was so special and so magical, and just really changed my life. Watching the survivors walk around the lap, seeing, you know, people similar to Sarah Lynn that I could celebrate, knowing that Julie was there in spirit, clapping with them as well. You know, I've played many roles throughout the years as ELT and a relayer like many of you out there. I later remarried, and my wife Kristen was a relayer before she met me. And you know, relay is, you know, one of the many bonds that hold us together. And I have two young boys, Elijah and Spencer, who are both little relayers. Spencer once referred to it as relay for food because he can go around and get food from some of the teams that are fundraising. And they're both avid fundraisers as well. I have taken bottles of ketchup over my head and pies to the face and turkey dinner over my head as a thank you to them for the money that they're fundraising. And I would do that to spread the mission any day of the week. And speaking of spreading the mission, you know, Sarah Lynn and I are part of a really special group of volunteers called Voices of Hope. And if you're not familiar what Voices of Hope are, let me tell you about an amazing group of survivors and caregivers that I have the absolute honor to be the current national lead of. Like I said, I've played many leadership roles, and this one's the most special to me. And these Voices of Hope, these are individuals who are trained to be able to spread the mission of the American Cancer Society and fundraise and make the ask through the power of storytelling. Whether it's the story I just told, the story Sarah Lynn told, or the story that the hundreds of Voices of Hope around the country are telling. And we as Voices of Hope, we want to help you with your events. We want to help you grow. Whether you need somebody like us to get up and tell a story at a kickoff or at a LUMINARIA ceremony, we will be there. You want us to film a promotional video, write a letter to the editor, we'll do it. If you want us to go with you to make the ask to a big sponsor, or help you find new teams in your community because maybe those kind of asks are not something you're comfortable with, we are there to do it. We go through training to be able to make that ask. And you have the opportunity yourself, if you think you have what it takes to become a voice, to be a voice. And it's very easy to not only apply to be a voice, but to also request that a Voice of Hope come join you in your community. And we'll be sharing information in the comments for how you can access Voices of Hope.
That's right. We can find Voices of Hope on Relay Connect. And I have to tell you, Jason, like, I love being a Voice of Hope. And, you know, I was honored enough to be named a Global Hero of Hope, too. And I want to congratulate you on being a 2022 Global Hero of Hope from the United States, along with 3 other people.
Thank you.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like Global Heroes of Hope are a growing group that connects and supports local cancer societies, and they advocate across the entire world. I mean, it's pretty incredible when you think about the fight and the impact being made every single day against cancer. You know, I think we've heard the saying that, fundraising isn't everything we do, but everything we do depends on fundraising. And as hard as that is to say, it's so true. And, like between our stories, which thank you for sharing, seriously, we've celebrated, we've remembered, and what's left.
So celebrate, remember, fight back. So often we hear fight back and we think advocacy. And while, that's one way that we fight back as relayers, it's not the only way. Heck, sitting here and being a part of this conversation, it's fighting back. It's committing to be a part of the single greatest impact on cancer through Relay for Life in 2022. So who's with me? But seriously, the American Cancer Society has been listening, and we have some great tools and tips to tell you about as we embark on our new year together.
To help us fight back better, here are some of the highlights in 2022 of what's coming. You guys, are you ready for this? T-shirts are back. And we're excited to share with you the new look that you guys voted on. And a few key highlights about T-shirts. So survivors and ELT members, T-shirts are going to be available without a fundraising minimum. ELT members and survivors can claim their shirts within a few days of signing up on the website, and this will start at the end of the month. We're also excited to share with you the new Grand Club and All-Star gear that you can earn. And we also work to get a lot of new content to you to help you out. And I'm going to throw it over to Katie Casamasina, the lead relay volunteer in the Southeast region, to tell you more about this.
Relay Connect is your online home for Relay for Life resources, connections, and more. Using Relay Connect, relayers across the nation can view real-time announcements from American Cancer Society staff and volunteers, view upcoming events on our Relay calendar, and so much more. At the click of a button, hundreds of resources made specifically for ELTs, team captains, and participants can be accessed. And the best part? These resources were put together by relayers just like you, with your needs in mind. From campus, to diversity and inclusion, to social media, the answers to your questions are here. The new and improved Relay Social Media Toolkit will help to improve engagement throughout Relay Nation as we begin recruiting and fundraising in 2022. Over 50 new media assets have been created for you to use in your community. Relayers can now access customizable images on Canva right here on Relay Connect. Creating graphics and promoting upcoming fundraisers and events has never been easier.
Jason, what are you doing? We're broadcasting.
Oh, sorry. I'm just sending out a few more messages to the fundraising app. I have to get one of those all-star shirts. Listen, I love hearing about all these great resources. In fact, a few weeks ago, I was looking for updated information for the American Cancer Society. I read that ACS recently partnered with the International Association of Firefighters on a long-term collaboration to help firefighters and EMS personnel with detection, treatment, and prevention of cancer. And Sarah Lynn, I know that is one that's near and dear to your heart.
It is. My local EMS has always been so supportive of Relay, and I'm so excited to show them how the American Cancer Society has their back. So what's coming up next for our relayers? We're continuing to kick off 2022 this weekend. On Saturday, January 8th, we hope you'll join volunteers from across the globe for Relay First Lap.
Join me and Relay for Life volunteers from across the globe to kick off the Relay for Life 2022 season with this year's Relay First Lap. I've taken my Relay First Lap around my neighborhood in Brooklyn. I took it down in Atlanta with Relay staff and volunteer leadership, and I've taken several chilly laps across the Northeast. But today I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C.
Joe, is that you? What are you doing here?
Dr. Knudsen, Mike, what are you guys doing here?
Well, we had meetings today. We were out and about. We thought we'd get a little exercise between meetings. What's going on?
Well, I'm here taking my relay first lap and getting ready to share with relayers from all over the globe. You know how much I love first lap. You know, I love its simplicity. It takes a core element of relay, our laps, and whether someone's by themselves or with a friend, and no matter where they take it, they're taking that first lap with everyone around the globe, all as one team looking for a cure.
Fantastic. Well, you know, I'm always up for a relay. I get my hat on, and you know, I'm ready to go, Joe. 2022 is going to be a great year for us, and as you know, relayers across the country, they're not just, you know, raising money for us, which is important, but they're also out there walking because they are remembering the people they lost. They're walking because there are folks that are survivors and they're celebrating that survivorship, and they're walking for their own communities. So it's terrific.
That's so right, Mike. You know, there's a reason why more than 100,000 people get out for Relay for Life. This is core to our mission to improve the lives of cancer patients and their families. And everything that we do will help us toward improving cancer research, advocacy for cancer patients, and providing direct patient support in the more than 5,000 communities that we serve. This is an incredible event.
You know, I'm excited to welcome back everyone who's taken a first lap with us in the past, but I'm even more excited to welcome all the relayers who are going to be taking a relay first lap with us in 2022. So what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
First lap.
Let's do it.
Be sure to share your pictures and videos on social media on January 8th as our Relay for Life community takes their relay first lap. First lap.
You know, we've talked a lot about what's new, but I want to close with a question. And I want you to go and leave your answer in the chat box or in the comments, or go print off your commitment paper and post a picture in the comments. This can be your 2022 relay resolution. Are you ready? What's the impact you are going to make this year in the fight against cancer? How are you going to fight back?
Look, are you a team captain? Maybe it's time to join the local ELT.
Maybe you're on the ELT and you need to commit to bringing in one new team member.
Yeah, maybe it's time to do a community drive-through. You'll make a list of new segments of teams or individuals you want to ask to join you at your relay.
Are you going to make that appointment and get your annual cancer screening?
Are you going to ask to host a fundraiser at work?
Are you going to add a stack of the ACS cards to your purse or your wallet so you can share the information with others?
So please, make sure you tell us, what will be your 2022 impact?
How are you committing to fighting back?